The birth of Earth, 4.5 billion years ago. The birth of the big island of Hawaii, 700,000 years ago. The birth of man, 200,000 years ago. Out of necessity, man's connection with Mother Earth and all living things was quite close. It seems we have been losing our understanding, connection, and respect for Earth and the circle of life ever since. In 1979, disillusioned from a divorce and my lifelong questioning of our human authorities and the supposed American dream, I built a small cabin in the woods of Wisconsin and lived there for a few years without the luxuries of electricity and running water. Nature had always been my sanctuary, and living simply was much easier than I had expected. The ability to live and enjoy this simple lifestyle made me a wealthy and content man, as I realized that I could easily supply my basic needs. Being a father, I knew my daughter needed some sort of acceptable role model to help her deal with entrenched societal expectations. So I continued to improve my building skills, accumulating the tools of the trade. In 2003, after my daughter had grown and gone, I finished my last home in Wisconsin, sold it, and almost everything I owned, built my home in a van, and traveled for a year and a half looking to set down permanent roots. In 2005 found me here on the lava flows of Kalapana, Hawaii, below Kilauea volcano, one of the most active volcanoes on Earth. The raw power and beauty of the volcano and nearby ocean convinced me this was the spot to settle. I built an off-grid solar-powered home with a rainwater catchment system and small carpentry cabinet shop and began planting some food plots. Kilauea had been active at the Pu'u'o'o vent since January 3rd of 1983. In 2008, the lava flows from Kilauea began flowing 1.5 miles west of me, and I began going out to witness creation in progress on a regular basis. These flows are part of ongoing activity of the Hawaiian Ridge section of the Emperor Seamount chain, made up of over 80 large volcanoes extending from the Big Island to Midway Island, approximately 1,600 miles. In 2010, Kilauea's lava flows again changed course and began moving towards my home. On July 25th, the mythological goddess of fire, Madame Pele, made a grand entrance up my stairs. After Pele reclaimed her property, she continued on her path towards the ocean, reaching it less than 12 hours later. I traveled to Savannah, Georgia, where my daughter was living, built another van home, and traveled North America for 3.5 years to see more of the beauty Mother Earth has to offer. By January of 2014, my property had cooled and the flows were heading towards Pahoa Village, about 12 miles to the north. I decided to return to Kalapana and rebuild a home and gardens on my newly landscaped property. Later in 2014, the flows threatened to cross Highway 130 near Pahoa, the main road access for this part of the Big Island, and the decision was made to rebuild 8 miles of the highway that had been crossed by 31 years of activity as an emergency access. Shortly after the new roadway was completed, lava stopped flowing towards Pahoa and was active many miles from any roads or buildings in remote areas along the lower East Rift Zone. In May 2016, the lava again changed course where it was flowing from the Pu'u'o'o vent, making its way south towards the ocean, 7 miles away. This new episode was named the 61G flow. When 2000 degree Fahrenheit lava meets the much cooler air and begins to solidify, it forms a rock crust that will continue to increase in thickness until it becomes self-supporting and creates an insulated, cave-like conduit to flow through, called a lava tube. These superheated tubes can be 8 feet or more in diameter. The 61G tube system that formed was fairly weak and unable to contain the fluctuating volumes of lava, causing frequent breakouts on the surface, allowing an easy access to sometimes very dramatic activity. There were a number of tubes that came and went as the lava tried to find the easiest path downhill. This meandering activity slowed the descent from Pu'u'o'o so that it took over a month for it to travel 5 miles to the base of the mountain. I was able to see these flows on the lower areas from my bed at night. Now the lava slowed on the more level coastal plain as it made its way towards the ocean, about 2 miles away. On July 25, 2016, lava again covers the newly rebuilt Highway 130, eventually repaving about 3/4 of a mile with fresh lava. The next day, it begins pouring over the 60-foot-high cliffs into the ocean for the first time in about 3 years. As lava enters the ocean, it will sometimes cause explosions due to the extreme temperature differences and from gases igniting as they escape into the air. If an ocean wave enters a lava tube, you can witness flash steam explosions. This explosive activity, the crumbling of the sea cliffs, and the strong wave action creates rubble piles that add to the shoreline. This new land above sea level is called a lava delta or bench. Lava flowing over this delta will give it a smoother surface that appears solid. These deltas are very unstable due to the loose rubble foundation and steep nature of the ocean floor and can collapse unexpectedly. Never go onto these new deltas that form, as large areas of this new land can seemingly explode and disappear into the ocean without warning. Gases can be trapped in porous, sharp-edged lava, enabling it to float as it enters the ocean. This floating rock is slammed against the rocky shorelines by the strong wave action and helps to grind it into very small pieces, which creates equally unstable beaches. The interaction of lava and salt water creates a steam plume containing hydrochloric acid. Explosive activity adds glass-like particles to the air. People have died breathing this toxic mix. These people seem to be unaware of the dangers they are exposing themselves to. At times, the combination of subsurface lava superheating the water, the steam plume, and trade winds will create a waterspout-like vortex at the ocean entry. The weak tube system of the 61G flow continues to have frequent breakouts which steal a lot of the volume away from the ocean entry, creating intermittent surface flows along the flow field. Rarely, a small section of the solidified roof of a lava tube can collapse or be pushed out by elevated pressure from within as flow volumes increase. This opening in the tube is called a skylight. These skylights are in weakened sections of the tube and are extremely hazardous to approach, as you have a huge river of lava flowing just below you. The delta continues to expand despite the breakouts in the tube system. On New Year's Eve of 2016, the lava delta collapses into the ocean, taking some of the existing coastline with it. Eventually, about 26 acres disappears into the ocean. This collapse exposes the lava tube that was feeding the ocean entry. The lava shooting out of the tube creates what is called a fire hose, shooting out 60 feet above sea level. The fire hose creates conditions of almost constant explosions or fountaining that put on a display that can only be described as the greatest show on earth. The lava builds a crutch or chute for the lava to slide on, only to have its foundation collapse and start rebuilding all over again. The first 3 months of 2017 are an almost unbelievable display of constant explosions with an occasional glimpse of the fire hose as it pours through the steam plume into the ocean. Finally, in April, a new delta begins to form and the lava is once again encased in a solidified tube. The weak tube system continues to have breakouts, and we have surface flows scattered throughout the flow fields. These breakouts are more dramatic in the steeper areas where they will flow much faster and can create open streams several hundred yards long. On the more level coastal plain, these breakouts are usually short-lived and may crust over as they pool in a matter of minutes. The crust insulates the contained pool of lava, inflating it until it is higher than the surrounding area, finding a weak spot, breaking out, and starting the process all over again. The surface flows take more and more of the volume away from the lava tubes, and by November there isn't enough volume in the tubes to make it to the ocean, and the entry stops. The first 4 months of 2018 find the tube breakouts and accompanying surface flows further and further up the mountain. In April of 2018, the lava lakes inside of the Pu'u'o'o vent and at Kilauea Summit begin to steadily rise, and the earthquake activity increases as pressure builds. On April 30th, the floor collapses in Pu'u'o'o vent and the lava lake drains, signaling the end of 35 years of activity at Pu'u'o'o. Lava now moves down the East Rift Zone, accompanied by a 6.9 earthquake on May 4th, and the first of eventually 24 intermittent fissures open in the Leilani area. Lava from fissures number 20 and 22 cross Highway 137 just east of McKenzie State Park and enters the ocean for a few days before the flows move to fissure number 8 and start a new route reaching the ocean on June 3rd. The explosive activity at fissure number 8 built a cinder cone 180 feet high and feed a lava river nearly 1/4 of a mile wide, and reaching 8 million cubic meters of lava a day, 20 times the average volume from Pu'u'o'o. Flows in the residential Leilani and Kapoho areas were only legally visible from helicopters or boat tours. When it ended in August, over 700 houses were destroyed. 13.7 square miles of land were covered by lava, and 875 acres of new land were added to the Big Island. The ocean currents carrying the sand from the 4-mile-wide ocean entry fill the bay at Isaac Hawley County Park, cutting off the boat ramp from the ocean. Many of us seem to work 50 weeks of the year to support our unsustainable lifestyle that we have been convinced we must have, often taking our 2-week vacation trying to escape that life and reconnect with nature. We have been programmed from birth to consume more than we need. This has become society's measure of success. I have been fortunate to find land in areas where you have the freedom to live the simple, so-called minimalist life that I choose. I observe the ways that I have altered some of the newest land on the planet and wonder, how do we change our way of viewing the life we have created for ourselves so that our children and all of life can have the same bountiful experiences that we have been lucky enough to have? I believe we need to look at all living things with more respect and awareness for their survival needs. We don't want to sacrifice our perceived luxuries, but in reality, we sacrifice our life to chase the unattainable all. We all come from this earth, and we all will return to earth. Let's try to work together to improve our connection and respect for creation and all of life.
Thank you.